Alright, welcome back to Nature's Glory Cabin Off-Road. This is part 2 of the Ohio River 4-Wheeler Spring Ride on March the 9th, 2024. We're going to continue from the park where we stopped for lunch, and we're going to continue out and go on down to Bald Rock, finish that Bald Rock loop out, go to Cave Fork, and we're going to finish up the day for most people at Cave Fork. Then a few of us, we're going to go off and do Hill Creek and Old Fincastle. Therein lies a problem. We'll talk about that later. My map ends at the front start of Hill Creek because we had a problem. So we're heading out after lunch, out of the park. We're going to turn left onto Highway 52, and we're going to go down to Bald Rock. You've seen several videos of mine. It's in a corner. There's a blue church sign on a gravel road, and this is where we enter. That right there is 498. We came off of 52 to 498. 498 is going to take us down to the entrance on Bald Rock. I think I said that a little bit too soon a moment ago. So 498 right now. We're going to get down here and enter in this curve. There's a blue church sign right there, you'll see. That's about the only marker. If you miss that, you may miss it. It's a gravel road. It's unmarked. Doesn't say anything about being Bald Rock. Bald Rock's another one of those climbing areas. Pendergrass Murray Recreational Preserve, I believe, part of the Red River Gorge Climbing Coalition. This is a pretty steep hill here. I use four-wheel load just to maintain a little more control. It can be steep. There's been ruts in it. They keep this fairly smooth for the climbers because a lot of the climbers are just in cars, not even SUVs. You'll see a wide variety of vehicles. There's a huge parking lot down here at the bottom, and go license plate hunting from all over the country and Canada I've seen. This first half is pretty tame. This is where the climbing areas are. I'll skip most of that in a minute. Pretty much just wanted to show you coming down this hill. There's a rock face that we went by. And there's a big parking lot at the bottom. I've seen this full and overflowing. There's an overflow area to the left there. And there's a couple of more parking areas for the climbers on back in here. And you can see the water's up here too. Water off to the right there. It kind of goes back and forth. We cross it a couple of times. There's a lot of water on Bald Rock when we get right down to it. You can see there the water crossing and running through and under the road. A lot of these little offshoots go back to these oil pumps, so stay away from those. There's another parking area for the climbers to the left. There's one more of those once we get past the last one. That will be where the actual trail, more off-roading, actually begins. It's not very rough. Again, it's rated pretty easy. All terrains can do this very easily. There's not hardly any mud on this one. Mostly rocks and water. And there we are. We just past the last climbing area parking, and you can see the creek there on the left. We're going to pull right down to it and start running in and along and across the creeks for quite a ways. I know it seemed long, but there was a lot of water on this day. I really just enjoyed seeing the scenery, and I hope you do too. This is something that you don't get to see very often. The water is not usually this high. And my wife had some pictures I inserted in here at a few of these places. Most of the time it's the same place where I stopped. I hope I got them synchronized with the right place. I tried. Try to use that rear camera so we can see somebody else coming, how they look coming through the water, how deep it is. It's not very deep right here, but again, a lot of times this is just a trickle. Another picture from the area. Again, this is pretty rocky underneath here. You want to kind of take it slow, and your temptation is going to be not to air down. Airing down does help with it as rocky as it is. Gives you a little bit more suspension, a little more softness. I went through here one time without airing down, and it wanted to shake your teeth out. So you got a choice of airing down and going a touch faster maybe, or keeping aired up and going extremely slow. Your choice. And you can see the water's up there a little bit. We have another longer crossing here in a minute. It's got a white pipe going above it. You can see the water is fairly deep up to this bumper. Again, it may not be deep per se, but in this area, this is fairly deep. Springtime is when you get the most water around here. As the summer progresses and things dry out, a lot of times there's almost no water in these. And if I do those trails, you won't see much of them. Now here's the longer one. This might be a little deeper. There's a picture off to the side. You see the water rushing in waterfall style. Again, this is a continuation of part 1. This is part 2, same group. This is the afternoon after lunch, March 9th, 2024. And you can see the water is rushing pretty good through there. And here's another group sitting off to the side. If you see anybody you know, give them a shout out. If anybody sees herself here, give me a shout out. And we're coming up to I think the deepest water crossing through here. You'll notice how high it is on the tires going through here, and you can see it from the vehicle behind me. We might have a picture off to the right. This is a fairly deep spot. This is the last crossing before we meet up with the New Virginia Ridge Road intersection and continue on there. You can see the water, there's a rock face back in there as well, and hopefully from behind you can get a good view of the Jeep behind me. See, the water's rushing. Now I have sped up, but it's still moving pretty good. There, see, it's above his bumper there, about halfway up to his, yeah, I've got a headlight in the water there. So that was pretty deep. Again, it's usually 8 or 10 inches. To the left there's the intersection to New Virginia that we took before. We're going to continue back down Bald Rock the way we came in earlier, down to where the intersection of Cave Fork is. We're going to take Cave Fork back out of here. And there's a few water crossings on Cave Fork. The main one, of course, is when we first get on it. Again, beautiful scenery. I had it from the other direction, saw a lot of this scenery from the other direction. Don't see a lot of it depending on the direction of the camera. There we go, you see pretty better there. Here we're going to insert another picture here of the water where it's rushing through the rocks, showing a little waterfall, a little still shot. This is along the area right here that we usually back into the creek and take a photo op. Well, the water's so high right now, there's nowhere to back, and there's way too many of us. We'd never get, I think I've only had 5 in there at the most in that spot, so the 25 plus I think we have here would have been impossible to do. Anyway, this was more of a trail ride than a photo op, so we move along. We stop occasionally and visit, take a pause for the cause, so to speak. Obviously I cut all that stuff out. We started at 9 in the morning, I believe it was, and I think we got up here where most people left around 3. Don't hold me to that, I don't remember exactly. Hopefully somebody else can chime in and tell me exactly the times. We're just cruising along through here looking at the scenery, looking at the water, how high it is. Now we're getting down to, you can see the cars, the vehicles up in front of me crossing the creek, going on to Cave Fork to the right there. That's where we're going to be going next. This is the intersection of Fixer, Larison, Cave Fork, Bald Rock. This takes us out towards Highway 11. The entrance of Cave Fork is actually on Ashland Camp Loop. This water's a little higher than usual. Lately it's been pretty low as well. Well, low most of the time these days, but on this day it's again pretty high. We got a picture there of some folks behind us coming up. And it looks like it's about halfway up at 33, give or take. Get a little rear camera action here. You can see it's about halfway up his tire, bottom of his bumper there. Nowhere near as deep as the last crossing that we went through. Now we're on Cave Fork, and there's a few crossings through here. Water's up everywhere. I think it looks cool. Hopefully you enjoy it too. And the water looks fairly deep there. Looks like it's the top of his bumper there in a spot or two. I didn't realize it was that deep. And running along the creek here again, a little scenery to the right. Still raining, you can see on the windshield. Pretty much rained all day. We finally started letting up right at the end, but for the most part, light rain all day. A little heavier in the morning in the part one. K-Fork's a very easy ride as well. Here's a nice little water crossing, another one. This is the one I believe we saw beavers a couple of years ago. Don't see wildlife much when there's a bunch of vehicles around. It kind of scares them off. We sometimes get up here on days when nobody else is around. It's a lot quieter, and you can see more wildlife that way. This is one you should be able to do most of the time by yourself, but be prepared. I mean, you don't want to get back here and have a problem. Check all of your equipment, make sure everything's in good shape, because what you may not know is something you did the last time could break on an easy spot, and then you'd be stuck. There's little to no cell service here. You have to climb to the top of a mountain in order to get cell service. I have a booster and can't get cell service most of the time. So be prepared. Make sure you do these and understand them well before you start trying to do them yourself. Get you some maps. Carted Tracks runs on the Avenza app. That's the official Backcountry Byway map. I use that. I have Gaia GPS and I have OnX. I use OnX most of the time for tracking and mapping. So once I get it mapped, I use my OnX map. Or I use the Backcountry Byway map. Sometimes I use them in conjunction together so I can see where I'm at. Last thing you want to do is get back here and take a wrong turn and end someplace like Sinking Creek that causes you more and more trouble than you're equipped for. A nice big rock there in the water, and the water again coming right up to the edge of the road. There's a good picture of that. This is Cave Fork. This is not where we were at before, so even though it looks similar, this is not Hauled Rock is where we were before with all the water. So this is Cave Fork. Very scenic rides. Enjoy riding through here all the time. We do this a lot. My wife likes to take pictures. We'll catch different times of the year and come back in here and get pictures of different things. I don't always record every time I'm back here. Well, I'll take that back. I do record. I don't always do anything with that recording unless something unusual happens or something just looks cool. Here we are stopped. A couple of pictures here before we move on. Nice big wide spot here on K Fork Road. And this one's pretty rough underneath there. This water's a lot higher than it usually is. This spot here is pretty rough. Usually you have a little water running down either side of the center where your tires go, and that's about it. Today it's completely covered. Very unusual. And scenic. You can see it kind of bouncing around. I've got image stabilization on, so the picture's not moving much. You can see the Jeep bouncing around on the rocks. I'm moving very slow through here because I know it's rough underneath. And we're going to show that from behind, so how deep it is up to his bumper in a couple of spots there. So again, this place is usually, I don't know, a couple 3 inches most of the time. It looks like I'd call it 8 or 10 today. and we're getting done. There's a few little crossings here. Some of them look better than others. I left a few of them in. They're fairly deep again, deeper than I expected. You never know what you're going to get. I know when you plan a trip, you never know what you're going to get. And we had a lot of stuff I cut out, and here's another water crossing. And here we are coming out. When you get to this part here, these two big rocks up here, to me, kind of signify the end of Cave Fork. It's all smooth. It's uphill to there's a parking area up here. A lot of times there's people with horse trailers that ride their horses back through here, so you got to be respectful of that too. We're going to pull in here, and this is going to end the day for most people. You can see a bunch of vehicles here. We're going to stop here. We're going to talk a bit, and some of us are going to get together, and we're going to head out and head toward Hell Creek and Old Fincastle. There's Kevin Hadzik. I hope I pronounced his name right. He's the president of the Ohio River Four Wheelers. I didn't realize I left so much dead picture right there. I was kind of waiting to see other vehicles pull up. That's what it was. So there are a few more. Be patient. There's more coming. I apologize for the lull in action here. This is where we're going to take off and head to Hell Creek and Old Fincastle. We didn't quite make Old Fincastle. We'll talk more about that as we get closer. We took a different route than I've taken before, so I want to point that out just in case somebody decides to. This Ashland Camp loop goes left and right back to 11. We went left out of here up to 11, and then we're going to make a right on 11 and go down just a little ways, and we're going to turn off onto a road I'd never turned on before. CR 107672. Usually I go down to 3 Mile Branch Road and make a left. Now we're still on Old State Highway 11, which 3 Mile Branch Road goes to. And we zip here a little ways, and we're going to pull into this church and talk for a minute about what we're going to do, and then we're going to head on out. And there's the group that went Hell Creek, Old Fincastle. I was told that the water at Old Fincastle was really high. I didn't get there. We had a breakdown. So we're going to turn right back out here on Old State Highway 11. There's 3 Mile Branch Road there on the left, and we go down here and turn right on. I believe it's Tip Top, and this takes us toward Hell Creek. And go on toward Hell Creek, work our way down through here, left on Holly Road, and we're going to get down here in a minute. And all of a sudden I'm having charging issues. This is me pulling off here. All of a sudden I'm not charging. So we had to turn around and run back. Turns out I had computer problems, alternator problems, a bunch of problems. So hood goes up. It's a bad day here. So we end right here. We're done. Everybody else is going to take off and go down Hell Creek and go to Old Fincastle. A nice little waterfall. We didn't even know it was there. It was behind us where we were parked. And we'll see everybody else here continue down. And this is going to end our day, and we're going to turn around and head back. We barely made it home on the battery. There was no charging. So I threw an alternator on. That didn't fix it. Turned out it was the computer, the regulators in the computer. Hope everybody enjoyed this. Come back again, and thanks for watching.